Hey, welcome to a special double feature episode, because I couldn't find a good place to cut the footage. You are welcome to pause the video and come back at any time you like. First of all, there's this power bomb slot that we missed because we didn't have power bombs when we first got out of the exploding facility. But now that we've reloaded, we, of course, can pick up a new power bomb expansion, which helps us open this yellow door. And as with most things in the galaxy, strangely, things are powered by Samus's morph ball, and we turn on the tower. There's not a lot to the tower, but there are a couple of upgrades and one particularly important weapon for us to grab. So still don't really have a good way to deal with those. I could bother timing my drops to avoid the electric beam that's being shot, but too much effort. Speaking of too much effort, here's our next boss. The tester is, again, a new addition to the remake. He has quite a number of attack options and abilities at his disposal, but it seems like he always starts this fight off like so, pinwheeling. The annoying thing about him is that the room is very tall, and you can't really get to him from a good point because the only quote-unquote platforms you have are these little levers on the side that will drop after a few seconds after you first stand on them. It's not a cumulative sort of thing, it's you step on them, give 2 seconds, and then they drop. So we'll be falling down to the floor quite a lot in this fight. As the scan mentioned, the outer shell is only vulnerable to solid projectile weaponry, i.e. missiles, but its inner core is invulnerable to solid weaponry and will only take damage from energy weapons like the one that it's firing right now. It has its own wave beam. Kinda weird. It has a lot of things at its disposal, and it can be kind of a hassle trying to take care of all of the projectiles it's firing at you. You can shoot out the cannons during any of its particular attacks, which, if you get the opportunity and the angle to do so, it's usually worth it. It would otherwise help you avoid a screen-clearing attack like that. Not a whole lot else to this boss, just gotta make sure he blows up. And so he did, with gusto. The annoying thing about these enemies is that, Mercy Invincibility being what it is in this game, you can get chained and stun locked quite hard by their rapid-fire lasers. But on the bright side, thanks to that power bomb, we have more super missiles, and more super missiles are going to be very helpful for upcoming Metroids. Less helpful for upcoming Metroids is the plasma beam. So I don't think this is an actual damage upgrade. This just allows the beams to go through enemies instead of stopping on them. But it's very effective at taking out these shielded enemies. if you can aim right, which I sometimes have a problem doing. Just save now that we have those important pickups, and with that, we're actually kind of finished with the tower. Yeah. Bit of an awkwardly long pause as I'm thinking, is that really it? Did I get everything else? I'm pretty sure I got everything else. So, let's roll on out. And head to the next area, perhaps? Well, here is where the next area leads. But there's a couple of pickups that have been bothering me greatly, and some of them we have long had the means to acquire them, some of them we only just acquired the means, the power bombs. So let's head back and see what we can do about those. This first one we probably could have gotten ages ago. Definitely by the space jump, possibly by the high jump boots. It's probably possible to high jump across this sparse gauntlet of blocks in order to reach that missile tank. Oh well. Not like we're lacking for missiles. You could just never have too many anyway. Always satisfying to go back to an earlier area and see your new upgraded weapons rip through enemies that used to be mildly to moderately annoying. There's also this area that I ducked in here for a while. I made a mistake the first time I came in here. There are actually 2 upgrades, and the first one we could have accessed very early on. It's the second one that we needed the space jump in order to reach. About that, though. You have to squeeze into a very specific gap, and it's kinda tricky. There's probably an easier way involving an upgrade we get later on in this episode, but I didn't think of it at the time. But I got it, so... We also have a very particular upgrade that I pointed out a couple of videos ago as probably one of the most convoluted in the game. It's not actually that difficult once you know what to do. It is just a tricky series of movements that can require some practice. So first of all, let's go in here and power bomb everything. Except we can't. We have to break some speed booster blocks in order to proceed. And, well, there's just not enough room here in order to build up the speed booster. So what we have to do is enter the room with a shine spark charge. In order to do that, we need to keep this door open. Head up here. And get the shine spark ready. And the correct angle to head towards the door is by running off the platform and actually doing the shine spark charge in midair. Then you run in, lay a power bomb, drop down, do another shine spark, and that gets you the power bomb tank. Yeah. It's a bit of a mouthful. But we got it. One of the more complicated items of the game. Maybe the most complicated. I'm pretty sure the most complicated. But I will be sure to eat my words later on, should that be necessary. Anyway, it should be all our business done here, so let's head on out. I made a weird backtrack to the mining facility for no reason, but then realized that there was this little thing to show off. We didn't have to go all the way around. That little speed booster shortcut tunnel actually leads us to where you need to go after the mining facility. So, it's a good thing to keep in mind for the speedrun. Sometimes those guys are just still as annoying. Anyway, let's drop down here and continue. We need power bombs to break through these blocks. So we couldn't have gone through here without going through the whole power plant exploding rigmarole. And here we finally pick up scans of new life signs, new Metroid life signs. And we're in the water temple. Great. AM2R unfortunately seemed to see fit to draw from the Metroid Prime and Super Metroid schools of thought in forcing you to suffer through part of a water level before you actually get the bit that actually lets you deal with the water. Other than that, the distribution center is also one of the biggest and most confusing levels in the game. There are lots of ways through it, and in fact this run that I show off, and part of the reason this video became a double feature and is so long is because I ended up taking a completely different route that I have never taken before through this level. I will be trying to point out the differences in the route when possible, if I remember. So these things are going to be the bane of our existence for a little bit. There is no hit stun, mercy, invincibility on those energy shots. If you are caught in the blast of one of those creatures, you will get hit by every single energy ball that is sent your way. So when you run into those, it behooves you to find some cover, or do your best to avoid setting them off in the first place. Tons of saw blades around. Thankfully, charged plasma shots are pretty good at clearing them out. Not the best. This is still a little slow going. But it could be worse. We want to try and slip by all of these guys whenever possible. They are set off by any sort of contact at all. Being shot, touching Samus, being looked at funny. This is an important room. You can tell because of the morph ball slot. So these cells have now been distributed across all of the playable areas of the game, and in fact this opens up a lot of doors that we weren't able to before, once we figure out the puzzles that those cells bring up. Alright, y'all just get out of my way. So, the thing with these power cells, they can be bounced around by using bombs or missile explosions. If you shoot them, they release this field that nullifies Samus's ability to fire, but also nullifies pretty much any enemy within range. So, it's nice to use them for that purpose. Especially with how quick moving the saw blades out and how annoying these guys' self-destructs can be. Anyway, these cells go into these strange Chozo circle sigil things that we've seen before. I have a bad feeling about this room. Yeah, bad feeling justified. That little pedestal in the middle of the room makes it pretty annoying to get a good bead on the Zeta's chest. Because you can't really get a good read on him when he's up on the center platform, which he likes to do a lot. It's also pretty easy to accidentally set off the energy cells in the room and prevent yourself from firing. But I did manage to hit him with enough super missiles. We didn't even run out. It's nice to actually have a batch. There are these little pipes throughout the distribution center that will send us to various places. We still want to go out of our way to avoid those bullet hell explosions. I mean, they do look like they're out of a bullet hell game. Here, there's absolutely no use for this energy cell other than to get rid of all of those guys hanging around, so we might as well use it for that purpose. Very satisfying to watch them all drop to the ground dead. I don't know why this save point is so tall. This energy cell is a bit of a punk to orient and get right. I really want to get these saw blades out of the way, but I can't really destroy them without risking hitting the energy cell and blowing it up. And then I remember, wait a minute, I can use the energy cell to get rid of the saw blades. So let's try that again. Hopefully we can clear a bit more of a path in order to let that energy cell fly by. Come on. Come on, you're almost there. Very nice. You may have to do a bit of searching, but the door is above us. Right here. The door that unlocked. So I mean... Oh, that's a lot of those guys in this room. Let's get out of here. Want to move through here quickly. Just in time for our next upgrade. Samus's symbol. The screw attack. Let's get to screwing. That power bomb was just to make sure there weren't any upgrades in the room. So these guys who have been a minor, by minor I mean major pain in the ass, they're nothing now. They are minor annoyances. Those saw blades that were such a big dick earlier, running all over the place, yeah, now we just spin jump into them. The screw attack is fantastic. Now what's in here? It looks like a Metroid. Surprise, it's 5 Metroids! Fortunately, they're just alphas, and it's not as hard as you might think it is, especially if you can actually land more than 2 super missile hits. But that involves a lot of rapid firing, considering how many there are and how erratically they're moving. It's really the best strategy is to just go hog wild with your missiles and just make sure you're getting the correct angle, leading them into the correct line of fire. And just like that, we started this area with 8 Metroids. One of them was the Zeta, and then 5 of them were in that room. So, it's not actually, in terms of the Metroids being spread across the level, this one is actually fairly concentrated. So satisfying to screw attack through all of those guys. That gave us such pains earlier. I managed to avoid actually getting hit by one of their attacks, thankfully. But believe me, it hurts. So now we enter this little mini labyrinth with these electrical fields that act the same as the exploding energy cells. They prevent your weapon from being fired in any way. The screw attack still works, thankfully, so if there are enemies within the field, that will work just fine for getting rid of them. And we can't open this door, so it's down this way. And we have to go over here in order to find the way to open this door. Blocked by a strange pipe. You could power bomb it, but that path in the ceiling is the way you're supposed to do it. And so we obtain our next upgrade. Surprise, we're Dark Samus now. No, of course not. We've obtained the gravity suit. Usually Samus's final suit upgrade. And for this game it is. In this particular case, in addition to the benefits it grants us in terms of being able to move underwater, it also protects her from these energy fields. I'm not sure how. It's said, you know, liquid friction is eliminated, but I'm not entirely sure how those electrical fields play into that. By the way, I missed an upgrade back there, so I'll be right back. Yeah. To be fair, I couldn't have gotten it before, with not being able to lay bombs in the middle of the electrical field. Anyway, what was I saying? So, the liquid friction has been eliminated entirely, meaning we now have access to all of our mobility upgrades underwater. Space jump, screw attack, high jump, all the goodies. It's possible to take this distribution center very out of order so that the gravity suit can be one of the last things you obtain, if not the last. And I highly recommend you don't do that because it makes the rest of the distribution center a pain in the ass to deal with. Alright, this shouldn't be too difficult a shot. 3 points! What else do we have to explore here? There's a couple of pipes we haven't taken. But for some reason I'm determined to head a different way. Yeah, let's just stay out of bullet hell shooters, Samus. That's not really your forte. This room is actually pretty important if you're gunning for 100%. for reasons that I won't get into right now because that was the last we see of it this video. But suffice it to say, if you're upgrade hunting at the end game, then you're going to become pretty familiar with that room and very happy with the conveniences it provides. Missile tank up here. How are we going to get to it? Hopefully a simple bomb will do the trick? Unfortunately not. We're gonna have to Shine Spark. We're gonna have to Shine Spark a long way. This is one of those, it's not exactly a Shine Spark puzzle, it's more just figuring out where exactly the game wants you to start your Shine Spark from an incredibly long distance. And in this case, it's just a little bit to the left of that pipe. I don't know what the term for it is. Pipe threading, I guess. But I was a bit too far to the left that time, so let's try that again. A step closer than I was to the pipe threading, and bullseye. And even 200 missiles now, pretty good. You'd think that'd be enough to handle all of the Metroids remaining in the game. Just making sure there wasn't a secret entrance or anything there. You can never be too sure. Not much to say about this room, just that everything is speed booster blocks. And Shine Sparking is the best way to grab that missile tank. And I just wanted to check the lower route because I thought there was something down there, but nope. We still can't get past those things, even with the gravity suit and the plasma beam and everything. We require something more. A good Shine Spark is so satisfying to pull off. Oh, a whole floor of collapsible blocks, so let's just not bother with that. This doesn't lead to anything spectacular, just another missile tank. But we're getting closer and closer to the maximum. If you figure 5 per missile tank and there being 255, I think? 255 missiles in the game, then we really only have a few missile tanks left. Meanwhile, up here is our next upgrade. In fact, the last major upgrade for Samus. Something that is vital for Metroids. So the way the Ice Beam works in this game is pretty differently from every other Metroid. Mainly, well, I'll show it off when we start to fight actual enemies with it. For now, we have something that was guarding the Ice Beam. You might remember this guy if you played Metroid Fusion. Ceres was a mid-game boss that was guarding the speed booster in Metroid Fusion. Here, he's a 2/3 boss? We're about 2/3, maybe 3/4 of the way through the game. He's slightly different here, as we have access to much more weaponry than Samus does when fighting him later in Fusion. The idea is to freeze his scales off, and then blast them with missiles to expose his weak underbelly. you can already start to see that the little green spots on him are starting to be exposed. The more white flashes of damage he takes, the faster he gets, to the point where he is just starting to rocket through the room, and it becomes kind of difficult to get a lock on him. Usually staying on this center platform and knowing which part of the platform to move to whenever he starts rampaging is safe enough. And after not much ado, that was Ceres. Overall, probably a more difficult fight than Infusion, but still not going to be as difficult as these two Gammas. So yeah, like I said, the Distribution Center really concentrated all of their Metroids together. Just that one Zeta Metroid, those 5 Alphas, and these 2 Gammas. So though we cleared out a lot of Metroids this episode, it didn't take a lot of hunting in order to do so. One super missile left. Can I pull it off? Can I kill one of them in 2 super missile shots? The answer is no. Why would it be? Why would it be yes? You know how these guys are by now. Thankfully, I think these may be the last Gammas we face in the game. I certainly will not be sad to see them gone. They've been a royal pain in my ass for just about every episode except the last one. I'm really sorry, I don't know what happened with the footage here and I can't re-record it, but from the sound effects, I'm sure you can tell that the last Gamma was destroyed, but the galaxy is not at peace. SR-388 itself is not at peace as we have our next earthquake. So the way the Ice Beam works in this game is that it actually freezes enemies upon the first shot. And then those enemies go where inertia happens to take them. If they fall towards the ground or float towards the ceiling, they will crack upon contact with the ground and drop any pickups they might have. Otherwise, you might need to hit them again with a missile or something in order to destroy them for good. Or eventually they'll just shatter on their own. Just checking to make sure what we have left in the distribution center. There's something back here that I forgot. So yeah, it's actually slightly annoying the way the Ice Beam works because enemies drop their pickups where they crack once they've been frozen and then shatter. And you can't shoot them again to break them after they've been frozen. So if you need pickups or anything, you have to follow them as they shatter to the ground. So here we have another complicated series of items to get, but first this freebie missile pack. Okay, so we have those speed booster blocks up there. Should be pretty easy too. Store the Shine Spark, shoot up, get on top of the box, Shine Spark. Nothing too bad. Then we get into this room of spikes. Navigate our way through with minimal trouble. And we have this empty room. No, not so empty after all. The power bombs grant us access to our penultimate energy tank. But we're not done with this leg of the distribution center yet. We have another precise shine spark shot to make. The way I like to do this is by visual aid, so didn't quite pull it off that time, but there's that vertical pipe in the background area. You'll see what I mean. That one that's made of like 3 segments, just stand right underneath that, and that should be enough for your shine spark. And that grabs us our next super missile expansion. Been quite a run, huh? Don't worry, we're almost over. It's just one upgrade we have left to get. I'm sure you can see it from here. Ice Beam makes quick work of these exploding bullet hell suckers. Of course, Screw Attack makes quick work of literally everything in this room, and it is so damn satisfying, let me tell you. This was a mistake. I thought I could take a turn up this way, but then remembered, oh, those are the collapsible blocks, and I can't make my way up through them. So it's back up this way we go. When in doubt, Samus's best resort is to screw everything, and that was a terrible statement for me to say, and I take it back. So we couldn't have gotten this before because these are Screw Attack blocks that we needed to break. But it's worth it because more super missiles are always worth it. Let's make our way back to the save point. I am exhausted, and we have done a lot of good work today. Cleared out another 8 Metroids. Got most of, if not all, of our remaining suit upgrades. I'd say we had a pretty good haul today. Let's see what we can pull off next time.